morning, everyone, and welcome to Club Coaching. Today is Monday, the 22nd of July, and we are 30 weeks into the year. That's right, 30 weeks into the year. We have 52 weeks in the year, so we have 22 weeks left before the year ends. So the plan that we're going to talk about today, actually the topic of today, is going to be business planning. And business planning, this is something that either will make or break your business. It's so important that we get a hold of business planning because so many times as real estate agents, we get distracted by life's challenges, by transactions that may not go the way we want them to go. And there's so many things that are pulling our attention day in and day out, and it's so easy for us to just get off track. And when it comes to business planning, this is the foundation. Every coaching class that I do, every training that I do, we always start off with mindset because obviously you've got to have the right mindset in what you're doing. You need to make sure you're prepared for the challenge and make sure that you're ready to take this on 100% and through to the completion. And then the next thing that we cover is business planning because business planning is what it is that you want to accomplish. That's really what's important. I mean, we've gotten into the business of real estate for some reason. You know, for some reason it could have been, I know for some parents, one person may work a regular 9-to-5 job and the other person wants to take care of the children, so they need a flexible schedule. So they've jumped into the business of real estate. You know, some people, they just did not want to work for someone else and they felt like they wanted to be independent in their business. They got tired of corporate America, whatever the case might be. So they decided to jump into the business of real estate, which is, in my opinion, one of the best careers anyone could ever have and be a part of. However, real estate can be a nightmare if you do not have a plan. And most offices, most broker owners, they will not set you up with a plan. They just won't. Whether you've been in the business 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 days, 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, very rarely does a broker ever sit down and take the time to go through with the real estate agent on a weekly or a bi-weekly or even a quarterly to look at what their business plan is. So what we're going to do for today is we're going to focus on planning the next few weeks of this year because this is going to be important. This is where you get to sit down and you get to say, this is where I'm heading. Now, we've been talking little by little about this week in the last couple of weeks that, hey, look, we're in the month of July. You know, we've got about another 5 months left in the year. I mean, July is pretty much at the end, and we're halfway through the summer. So we've been talking about this, but today we want to be able to get into the nuts and bolts of what it looks like to have a strong business plan. And a couple of things to remember is that a business plan is just a document, okay? It doesn't need to be anything complicated. It could be as simple as just grabbing a blank sheet of paper, okay? Very simple, and outline what you've done so far, okay? And that's what you want to do. You want to look at what have you done so far in the last 6 months? What have you accomplished in the last 6 months? Have you had, 1, 2, 3, 6, 10 closings? How many listings did you take? How many buyers did you put into contract? Just look at the last 6 months of the year because you want to know what you've done so far so that this way you at least have a gauge as to what you can do for the next 6 months. And then once you know what you've done in the last 6 months, or in the last quarter, because I know those of us that are in club coaching, we cover this at least every quarter, then you want to be able to know where you're heading. So it's a document that outlines what you've done and where you're going to go, and then what steps do we need to take to get there. You know, this is important, and I'm throwing this in there before I continue. Without the business plan, distraction is inevitable. Without a business plan, distraction is inevitable. I remember there was a time in my life, and this happens to a lot of top producing agents, where as you're producing, as you're doing well, as you're cranking out your business, you're focused, you're going to attract a lot of different types of people. And the people that you're going to attract are title companies. You're going to attract loan originators. You're going to attract, bankers, attorneys. People are going to be attracted to you because you're making things happen. Now, why are they attracted to you? That's the big question. And the number one reason they are attracted to you is not because of your good looks, even though I know we have some really good-looking people on our call today, but it's because of the fact that you can generate business for them. Okay? That's really the number one reason. Let's keep it real, because everyone who is in this business, we're all pretty much about what do we need to do to get more business. That's basically it. That's the foundation. And then from there, it may move on to other motivations and so on and so forth. So what happens is sometimes if we're not careful, those relationships, and I'm just talking on a professional level because this can happen on an office level. You may have another agent in your office who is just a distraction. They always have questions about the MLS, or they always have questions about something, and you seem to always be around to answer that question. So those distractions can happen, and if we really do not know what we've done or what our trend has been, we won't even recognize where the distractions have come from. And this is important because as business people, we've got to be on point when it comes to our plan. And if we start noticing that we're deviating from our plan, that we made a promise to ourselves, we made a commitment to ourselves to be on track. That means we're going to have 1 listing, 2 listings, 3 listings per week, whatever your number is, and we're off, then what is missing? What happened? What took you off your plan? What took you off what your goal was for the week? And sometimes it could be professional relationships. Okay? Take a look at that, because that can happen. That was one of the main reasons why I opened up an office in my own home, so that this way I didn't have to go to the office every single day, and I could just work from home in a private environment and stay focused. So before we get more, pretty much that's just what I want to cover there, but let's get into the nuts and bolts of a business plan. What your business plan should consist of, and you want to title it at the top of the page, business plan. And you want to recap last year's numbers, okay? So you want to write down 2012, number of deals closed, okay? Number of, and you can write it down, buyer closed, listing sold, and both transactions. So it could have been a buyer and a seller, or you could just keep it as simple as buyers and then listings sold. Number of transactions, and what dollar amount that came out to be. And then from there, the next thing you want to do is you want to do what your goals are for the next coming year. Now, since we're working in a 6-month interval here, because we're going to cover this again as we get closer to the end of the year, come November, we're going to go back over this again, because we have to, at least by October, November, we need to already have our plan for the following year, because October transactions really are closings for 2014. So that's something to consider. And whatever we're doing here in these next 90 days is really for us to have a fourth quarter that is strong. So if you want to have a great Christmas shopping, you want to end the year right, you want to have enough money to make it through Thanksgiving and Halloween, work your butt off now, because this is the time that it has to happen right now during the months of July and August. Okay, so this way we can close them for September and October, and even going into November. So make sure that you have the goals for the next 6 months. Okay? The next thing is the numbers that are required for you to achieve those goals. So if the average commission check is $10,000, let's just work with round numbers, and you want to be able to close at least 5 more deals by the end of this year, okay? So you want to work the numbers backwards. So that's $50,000 at $10,000, right? But to get 5 deals closed, that means you would need to put at least into contract 2 deals per month. That means this month 2 deals. Next month, 2 deals. And then in September, another 2 deals. So now you have 2, 4, 6 deals into contract, and all of them should close before the end of this year if we've done what we need to do on our end. Obviously, in the business of real estate, there's a lot of things that are out of our control. But technically speaking, that needs to be our plan. So what is it going to take for us to put 2 deals into contract each month from now until September? And you work the numbers backwards. That means you may have to take 2 or 3 listings and make sure they get sold within the next 30 days. That means the buyers that you're working with right now, if you're working with some buyers, folks, that are just consistently underbidding the properties that they see, and you know they can afford more, throw them away, because they're more committed to getting a deal than to purchasing a property. Okay? If you're working with listings right now and you have listings that are just sitting there and they're just hogging up your time because you're answering calls or whatever it is you're doing, there needs to be a conversation about a price reduction. There needs to be a conversation about motivation so that this way you can move this transaction forward. Our business is something that is about action. There is nothing passive about the business of real estate. And unless you're on top of your game, before you know it, you're going to have more problems on your shoulders and fewer closings. And at the end of the year, you're going to be wondering, what happened to my business? So take a look at those areas. So that means prioritize which buyers you're going to work with. So we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that you can have a dry erase board in your office, and you have your hot buyer leads written on the board, and then you have your hot seller leads. If you have a hot buyer lead and it's listed in there, but they're losing steam, erase them. Have a conversation with them. Folks, what's going on? At this point in time, are we going to make a decision this weekend? If not, take them out of your hot buyer leads and throw them into a different lead basket. But we want to focus on those people who are looking to do business within the next 7 to 10 days. So this is what's going to help you in terms of what numbers are required for you to achieve your goals, is breaking it down into smaller steps. The next point that I want to make is the steps that you have taken, what are the steps that you have to take to achieve those goals? Okay? So we talked a little bit about that just now. But there's some other steps that we got to take. How are we doing with prospecting? How are we doing with lead generation? I found this software over the weekend, and I've done this before in the past. It's called Meetup. And I was thinking to myself, I want to meet more people. I've got to expand my circle of influence. I need to add at least another 100 people to my address book in the next 30 days. So how am I going to add 100 people to my address book in the next 30 days? Because I know the math. If you got 100 people in your center of influence and 10% of them are going to refer you listings, that's 10 deals right there. So I've got to increase my circle of influence. So I ran into this software called Meetup, just Googling, and I know I had looked at this a long time ago, but I didn't pay any attention to it. And in Meetup, basically, you get connected with groups that are of similar interests. So if I want to connect with other coaches that maybe are life coaches or real estate coaches, they are in these groups. But you can connect with people of your interest, people of your culture, whatever it might be. And they have parties, they have networking functions in Manhattan, they have them out here in Queens, in Long Island, in Brooklyn. They have them all over. And this will help you to expand your circle of influence. So it's really important, and you can download it. It's an app. You put it on your cell phone, or you can log in online, and you get a message as to when there's an event going on. You RSVP, you go. You hand out your business cards. You let people know what it is that you do, and you build up your business that way. So these are some of the steps that you can take to achieve your goals. Are you prospecting? Are you going over your scripts and dialogues? How are you in closing the buyer or closing the seller over the phone or even in person? So there may be some steps that you've got to take. Like you may need to put 2 hours of script practicing every single day so that this way you can master this. This way it's natural. It's a natural conversation. You want it to flow out of you so easily that people are just, they're hanging on every single word that comes out of your mouth. And that's how you want to be as a communicator. Focus on being a great communicator. So those are a couple of steps that you've got to do. Maybe you need to prospect more. If you've been prospecting 1 hour a day, let's do 2 hours a day. Heck, why not even 3 hours of prospecting? If you're not familiar with your inventory, if you're not familiar with pricing and you notice that you're overpricing property, maybe you need to go ahead and do 2 hours of previewing every single day. Every day there's a broker open house happening in all the neighborhoods in our area. Go to those broker open houses, see what's on the market, get to see what's going on. So this way you can become familiar with what's out there in terms of inventory. The next point is your daily schedule, which has to be followed for the rest of this year. And we talked a little bit about this last week. What's your schedule been looking like? I mean, we're on a summer schedule right now. So a summer schedule means the kids are home if you have kids. Summer schedule means that, hey, certain businesses might close early, certain businesses might close later. Whatever it might be, it's just a different schedule during the summer. So you want to be aware as to what your schedule needs to look like for these next couple of months. And once you do that, then it'll support you with your business plan. And if you need a template to download a schedule, you could go online and go under member services in the member section for members only, and you can download a schedule. Print it out, fill in the blanks, and you have a schedule for the next few weeks, for every week. And one thing that's cool about a schedule is that it's a working document. You can change it. Maybe what your schedule might be for this week may not be the same schedule for next week. But the whole plan is create a certain level of consistency where every single day you're doing some lead generating activities to build your business. The next thing I want to cover is any problems that you can foresee that's going on that might happen or might come up. Let's walk through some solutions, because these are things that can distract you from what your business plan can be. Again, we talked about relationships. We talked about office environment. What do you foresee in the next coming months? Do you see family coming into town? Do you see classes that you may want to take? I mean, I know I always love going to real estate seminars. Okay, if I see this is happening in the next few months, let me take that out of my weeks of work. So this way I know that instead of me having 20 weeks to work, okay, maybe I now have 15 weeks left because I'm going to take a vacation for 1 week. I'm going to, take a holiday vacation, and then I'm going to be at a training seminar. So break everything down so this way you know exactly how many weeks. Don't leave anything up to chance. And so many of us as real estate agents, we just kind of like work. We work and we hope. That's all we do. We get up in the morning, I hope I get a listing today. I hope I get a buyer today. And then when we get the buyer, we're like, ooh, our prayers were answered. And it's like, folks, you can't live by chance. Definitely I believe in having faith. But that's just, that's faith without a goal, without a plan. And you've got to have the two together. So this is something that is important for you to do, and do this today. What I want everyone to do is within the next 7 days, actually I'll give you 2 weeks. Within the next 2 weeks, what is your plan for the next 6 months? And email it to me. Okay, you can email it to robscoaching@gmail.com or rob@robscoaching.com. Either way is fine. The next point I want to cover is remember that your business plan is a working document. It is something that is flexible. It is something that you can change. It is something that you can add to it. You can take away from it. Maybe if we set a goal that's unrealistic and it's not working for us, then we can adjust it. But it's something that you need to adjust it and review it on a weekly basis, review it on a monthly basis. If you haven't already, I've emailed and posted online those goal cards that you can have in your pocket. And you can put it on a 3x5 index card, stick it in your back pocket, and it'll have your goal for the month. And that right there is like a working business plan that you can carry with you everywhere you go. And if you forget what your goals are, you can take it right out and take a look at it. Okay? One other thing to remember, and this is super important. You can put a star next to this point as you're taking notes. is that the next 6 months is going to take a strong level of commitment and dedication from you. Commitment. It's a serious word. Commitment is this is what you're going to do no matter what. No matter what. No excuses, no ifs, ands, or buts, but this is what you are committed to doing. You said you're going to do it, and you're going to do it. So that means if you say, I'm taking one listing per week, then you better not be on a call next week without taking that one listing, because you made a commitment. You made a promise. When you make a promise, it's serious. You don't break promises. And there's something about making promises and making commitments that, as people, when you break them, it tears you down internally. It just breaks you down. It disempowers you when you break those promises, when you break those commitments. So let's be people of our word. Let's be people that are committed to seeing through what it is that we're going to do. I rather under-promise and over-deliver. Okay? Because what we say we're going to do, that's a promise. That's a commitment. That is set in stone. It's like the Ten Commandments. It's written in stone. You can't erase it. You can't change it. It is in there. It is where it needs to be for you to look at on a daily basis. Be committed to your plan. And that could be at a personal level and on a business level. Because if you do this every single year, your business will grow. In many cases, it can grow anywhere between 10 to 20% on a yearly basis. All those real estate agents that stayed committed during the difficult times, they're seeing rapid growth in their business. They are. They're seeing rapid growth. And what's going to happen is, as your business grows, then you're going to start shifting how your business plan looks. You'll start looking at profit and loss reports. You'll start looking at, where are you spending your money? Where are you spending your time? What's really working for you? What advertisement is working for you? What advertisements are not working for you? Because sometimes we're just paying and paying and paying and paying and paying, and we're not even paying attention to how much we're getting in return for all the services that we're putting out. And it's super important that we do this. But we have to have a plan in order to make this happen. Set up an accountability partner. If you don't have one already, get an accountability partner to hold you accountable to what your commitment is. If you need daily accountability, then so be it. If you need weekly accountability, then so be it. Make a decision today to have a time where you will review your business plan with your partner, with your accountability partner. Say you want to review it every quarter, every 90 days. Okay, Jim. Okay, Brenda. Okay, Bob. How did we do in the last 3 months? This is what real business people do. Okay? Not people who want to play real estate. We're not here to play real estate. We're here to be real estate professionals. This is our career. This is what we have given up other things for. If we're giving up time with our family, we're giving up time for ourselves to make this business succeed, then do it right. Because it's worth it for us if this is what we're going to do. Do it right, so that this way, when you do it right, you will see the results, and then you'll spend that time with your family that you want to spend, and you'll spend that time doing the things that you want to do. So be committed to this. I can't stress that so much more than what I have so far. The next thing I want to cover is tracking your numbers, because this really is what makes or breaks, in addition to having a business plan, because it's all part of it. If you track your numbers, then this is how you know if you're going to be on track. We have a number tracking system that is available to every single agent that is in my programs. Are you using it? Are you tracking your numbers on a weekly, daily basis? If you're not into tracking on a computer, okay, I get it. But at least write it down on a piece of paper. At least get a calendar. If you have one of those regular calendars that has the days of the month all over, on a big 11 by 17, and you feel more comfortable carrying that, at least write it on that. So that this way, every day, you know how many contacts you've made, you know how many appointments you've set, you know how many listings you've taken, and how many sales you've done. Because this is going to show a trend. This is what's going to reflect what you need to do on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, and a bi-yearly basis. Very, very important. So to wrap it up, make sure that you're doing all these things. Just in summary, write out your business plan. You've got 2 weeks to get it to me. If you start to realize that there's something missing, by all means, bring it up in the calls so that this way we can be able to support you with your goals.